panic attacks. What and who is attacking you? Why your mind freaks out and releases a surge of emotions in one emotional breakdown. And sometimes it happens often, and sometimes it happens with a specific trigger. We're going to talk today about panic attacks and whether it's something wrong with you. Let's go. Welcome back to my channel. My name is KateSemeniuk. If you don't know me, I'm a hypnotherapist and I love to share the knowledge that I have learned, the insights that I have got in my practice. And I loved to put an emphasis on the subconscious mind and how strong it is. And if you work on that queen subconscious, how much difference you can feel in your life. And today's topic is one of the most painful ones, the one that scares us a lot: panic attacks. What happens? What happens in your body? You probably already know, but what happens in your mind at that time and why these panic attacks happen? What are the roots and the causes of different types of panic attacks? We're going to uncover today, because one question that I get from clients, they say, I just want them gone. I just want to feel at ease. I want to be able to handle any stressful situation, and I just don't want to get triggered out of nowhere. And panic attacks, those tricky messengers that are coming out of nowhere and very often unexplained. What are the symptoms of panic attacks? Panic attacks very often happen so fast that you don't even know what triggered, what thought or what environmental object or event or situation triggered. If you have phobia, then you will know that a thought about flying or a thought about swimming or heights or elevators or animals, whatever your mind connected, the life or death situation, that's when your mind will have panic attacks, because your mind wants to run. Your mind wants to run. Panic attacks sometimes happen when we are tired, right? When we cannot hold with our logic all the emotions, and when we release the armor and the wall that we put in front of us and around us, that's when panic attacks can happen. And here we are talking about panic attacks at night. The nightmares when you wake up in a panic attack about whatever you were dreaming about, or maybe there was a thought that triggered that panic attack. We often believe that something is causing my panic attack. For example, the social situation, if you have social anxiety, or the elevators if you have fear of elevators or fear of enclosed spaces. Maybe it's the flying, it's an airplane or being in an airport that can cause the panic attack, but that's not true. What causes your panic attack are your thoughts about this and the meaning that you put towards whatever you see or whatever you're experiencing. For example, the airplane doesn't cause you a panic attack. It's your meaning, what will happen on the plane. It's your thoughts and your catastrophized scenarios that flash so fast, and I'll tell you why they flash so fast. That's what's causing. That's your thoughts. Your mind is causing your body to freak out and run. Panic attack is when you run, but you're still in place. I remember in school when we were kids, and if you had those long distance running, 5 kilometers or maybe 2 kilometers, and I used to run and overextend my capabilities. So when I stop, when I, for example, finished the running or the 5 kilometers or 10 kilometers, I will feel like I have a panic attack. My heart rate would be pounding and getting out of my body, you know. Once I remember I even threw up because it was the the tension was so strong, right? And my body wanted to let go. I had diarrhea, I remember when I was running. I had dizziness, right? And I couldn't really come back to the normal breathing, right? Your mind is running. You are looking at the elevator, you're looking at the plane, you're looking at your partner sometimes. You're not looking at anything. You're just thinking about something, and your mind your mind is making the meaning of what's happening, defines it as the huge life-threatening danger, and starts to run. But here comes your logic, and your logic is like, we're fine. Yeah, lots of people, but we're fine. It's irrational to have this fear. So you're in place, but your body is running. So what happens? You have all the symptoms of running a marathon. And what happens when we run a marathon? And you can put anything. You can put sweaty palms, sweating, hyperventilating, dizziness, numbness of the fingertips and finger toes. You name it. There are so many, the goosebumps on your skin, especially in this area, right? Because the cortisol goes up, right? You might have a lump in the throat, and you might have this like heavy breathing or even restricted chest, and it feels like you don't have enough air to breathe in and to breathe out. So that's what happens when we are running, actually running. What happens in the body? The body adjusts the energy that it puts to organs and tissues that you need for running. This is very important. When you run and your mind is running in a panic attack, it wants to escape, and because it cannot escape, it shuts down. So the mind, what happens is all the oxygen, all the energy, all the resources are going to your big muscles. You don't need to talk when you run. That's why we have restricted chest, the cortisol, right? You don't need to really think straight. You just have to run. That's it. To save yourself. Fight or flight mode. Fight, flight, or shut down, or freeze mode, right? And when nothing really happens, when you don't actually get out of the danger, you release it in a panic attack. So you start to run. There is a tipping point where your body and mind cannot hold it anymore, and you let go. So what happens in that moment, you either naturally come down, and you're like, okay, you might faint, right? When the collapse happens, you just faint. You might freeze, right? And really need time to come back to your senses. You call it, you name it, really, but it happens, you have this release. You might throw up, you might go to the washroom and you have diarrhea, you might be having digestive system problems, whatever happens, but your body wants to let go of the tension. And any type of letting go that your body is capable of will happen in your body. Not all of them, but you will have your own strategies, and you need to really be aware of how your body reacts to a panic attack. Some people will faint, some people just need the time by themselves, some people need some exercises that they get from their psychologist, like the coping skills, right, where they come back to their senses, they kind of maybe pinch their hand, they do the tapping, whatever helps, but they come back to their body and they calm down. However, it's not always happening. And even if you calm down, you tend to have them again. Panic attack takes a lot of energy, and the biggest consequence that you might have from panic attacks is that when you're always in a fight or flight mode, going to these tipping points and really panic attack, and then you recover after a panic attack, we want to sleep. It's such a huge release of energy that your body wants to sleep. If you take animals, they rest for a very long time after they hunt. And then when they hunt, they're all focused on getting what they need, right? The food. It's really a survival strategy. I need the food to survive. So when they hunt, they go and sleep for days. You can see lions, sleeping for days after they hunt. The same with our body. We get really tired, we want to go and sleep. And I've had clients who slept for 24 hours even after the panic attack. They are not able to make any rational decisions. Their decision-making skills are out the window because they're very tired. So usually people who have panic attacks, it's really hard for them to really think clearly, focused and concentrated, because they're either in a panic mode or they are recovering from the panic mode. And also when your body for a very long time deprives other organs that are not needed for a fight or flight mode from oxygen and from nutrients and from vitamins, because the body is a very smart machine. It regulates what you need right now. If the body realizes, okay, we need to run, we need to escape something, and it could be a social situation, it could be you're just sitting at home, you're completely safe, but your mind, your mind has a meaning, makes a meaning of the situation or the thoughts that you have. For example, you might be sitting at home and having a panic attack because you just thought about abandonment. That might happen, that maybe your girlfriend or your boyfriend might abandon you. Maybe you noticed that they had, they were calling someone or texting someone, and you start to think about betrayal or cheating, and your mind now creates all of the scenarios of you being alone, abandoned, and you're like no one, and you're worthless, and they abandon you, and the mind then does its job. It runs away from that danger, because the mind understands that if you're alone as a child, right? Panic attacks is us bringing us to the child mindset, right? It's always child mindset. The child needs to survive, and their biggest survival depends on caregivers. So if we were abandoned, of course, that's going to be our trigger when we are adults, right? But when we are adults, we're completely fine if someone didn't choose us. We're completely fine if we separate from our partners. We're completely fine. However, the mind still believes you're 9, and abandoning means you're not enough, or you're worthless, or you are not deserving of love, and then the mind becomes a movie studio. If you think about horror movies, our mind can create much stronger pictures. And so your mind can get into a panic attack just by the thoughts. And mostly it is by the thoughts. The organs and the tissues that were deprived of oxygen for so long while you were in a fight or flight mode start to suffer, right? They start to have changes in the cells on a cellular level. And that's when you start to have problems. And when you go to the doctor and the doctor tells you, well, it's from stress, you get frustrated, you get very angry. You're like, damn, this stress, I don't want that. Because it's easier to take the pill and to take the magic pill, and the pain is gone. But with the mind, it doesn't happen like that. And very often we even go and take medication, and it helps for some time until it doesn't help, because the root cause is not resolved. Remember, medication helps you to manage some symptoms, but never resolve the root cause, ever. Medication, it's not designed for that. It's designed to help you with the symptoms. And maybe if you decide to work on yourself in a more quiet state, you might be able to uncover the root cause of panic attacks. Well, that's going to help. What are the roots and causes of panic attacks? Usually your mind forms neural pathways. Some of them are stronger, some of them are weaker. And it's scientifically proven that we are born with a very similar, right, amount of neural pathways. It's just that some of them are really fading if we don't use them. So we all have a very same capabilities when we are born, unless we have some other conditions, neurological conditions, for example, or we have some genetic conditions. When you build the neural pathways, the strongest one will be always in priority. So, for example, if you have a fear of a specific animal, or you're having a phobia of enclosed spaces, it means that at some point your mind connected a huge life-threatening situation to that specific trigger, and the mind is so fascinating, it will build different connections based on your experience. Why I like hypnotherapy is because I go with clients and we find specifically their trigger, specifically their root cause. And I love it because they're not able to figure it out with the psychologist. Not that the psychologist doesn't want that, but just talking, you're using only 5% of your mind. And subconscious mind is 90 to 95. Can you imagine who will win? And who is most important? So you work on that subconscious mind, you find the root cause that is tailored to you. You will realize why my mind connected planes, or my mind connected social situations, or my mind connected health symptoms with health anxiety and the panic attack when really something is happening in your body. Also, the root cause of the panic attack is the traumatic experience from childhood or that happened in your adulthood as well. I've had clients who didn't have lots of fears, who were really doing really good, and then one experience that happened triggered a strong fear of dying. They were completely fine, but then something really happens, maybe traumatic experience, maybe a loss of the loved ones, and they start to get such a huge trigger of dying. They believe, and that's an onset. And when people come to me from these specific situations, they tell me, Kate, I was totally fine. I was totally fine before this happened, and then the onset of all the symptoms. My mind just collapsed. I now have panic attacks every single week. And they believe that there is something wrong with them. There is nothing wrong with you. Your mind just made a specific neural connection. That's it. And you need to fade that connection. You will never be afraid. You will never forget that you were afraid of something. You will never forget that you were abandoned or rejected or abused. You will not. Don't even try to forget about it. But you can change how you see that so it doesn't trigger you anymore. If you become indifferent to the trigger, then the trigger doesn't trigger. That's it. Easy peasy. So when we are always in a fight or flight mode in childhood, it becomes a habit. You have a habit of panicking. Just like you have a habit of driving a car, or you have a habit of doing something with your right hand or left hand. Just like any habit. And the stronger that connection, the more priority it will have when you are doing something, or you are making some decisions, or something happens in your life. Whatever the neural pathway is the strongest, it's going to work out first. So if you panicked all the time in some situations, of course, next time it's going to be the same until you change it. Another root cause is a full identification with your mind. So I noticed that people who have panic attacks, they don't understand that they're not their mind. They believe that their mind, they are them. If you want to learn more about it, you need to, it's good to read Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. It's a beautiful book, and he is talking about that full identification with the mind and the ego part. He clearly explains how our mind is not us. That's it. And when you understand that your mind is your tool, you can work with it. If you don't understand that your mind is your tool and that your mind is not you, you identify yourself with that mind. And then you believe, okay, this is me, this is who am I am panicking. And then you step into your thoughts and you relieve those thoughts. And the trick about panic attack is what you are afraid of, whatever it is, it might be explained, might be unexplained, you might know it, it might be hidden in your subconscious mind for now. But it doesn't matter. You are going to identify it as a very strong danger, and you are relieving that danger every single time. Every time you have a panic attack, you are running away from something that you are already experiencing. So for example, if we have a fear of dying or a fear of losing control, we might have a panic, you're already losing control every single day. It's fascinating how clients come to me and they say, I feel I don't want to lose control. I never want to lose control, but they're never in control in their life anyway, because they have these panic attacks all the time. And panic is being out of control of your mind. When we have very high expectations of people and these expectations are not met, we might have a panic attack. We build illusions about people and about ourselves. So that could be the root cause as well. So whatever your mind connected to, whether it's a dangerous situation, an abuse that happened, if you had a traumatic, unexpected, isolated experience that happened, it will cause you to get triggered every single time something similar happened. Not something the same, but very similar as well. So because the subconscious mind likes to generalize, if you had a physical abuse, you might get panic when someone criticizes you or judges you, because your mind already jumps into the abuse, that you might be punished. If you were sexually abused, right, you might get triggered in intimacy, even if it's the most loving, supportive relationship that you have right now. You might be triggered by movies that represent the abuse, or they have the abuse scene as well. You might be triggered looking at the children. I had clients who had panic attack when they saw children. They never want to have children because they were abused sexually. So it triggers them because they see that child, they see themselves in that child. And so your mind will make these connections. It will always find connection and will keep you away from everything that you identified as danger. And you need to find out, in order to overcome panic attacks, you need to find out where did you and what did you connect to the life-threatening situation, and you talk to your mind and you release that. Your thoughts is the only thing that you can have any control over. And having control over your thoughts is just choosing what to believe in or not, how to react and how not to react. That's it. Why people recommend breathing? Have you ever thought why people recommend breathing? Not only because it calms down your nervous system, but also because the slower you breathe, the slower are your thoughts. The faster you breathe, the faster are your thoughts. So you start to have a lot of images, a lot of scenarios. The thoughts are coming faster. If you breathe slower, the thoughts are slower, which means that you have more time to analyze these thoughts, to think about them, to get aware of them, to bring them to the surface, and to really choose how you want to react to the situation. That's it. Not only it helps with the nervous system, digestion, right? So your nutrition plays a huge role. You need to support your well-being, not only from the mind's perspective, but also from the body perspective. So I had people who over-exercise because it helps them to release that tension, but the root cause is still there. And they start to notice that they have other things, other problems. I had a client who had a binge eating problem, and they became a fitness trainer. And they really went really well with food, and they would calculate and their calories, they're really good. And then they started to have problems with their relationship or intimacy, because the root cause will always show up, no matter how much you try to suppress it or to distract yourself from. Your mind needs to understand that it's not a child anymore, that you are not a child anymore. Spiritual practices really help with health anxiety, with fear of dying. So it really helps with fear of old age, fear of poor health, fear of losing a loved one, fear of losing control. Spiritual practices is when you start to believe that you're more than your body. Learning more about yourself that will help you release those fears. Minimizing your life. I believe that one of the most incredible ways how you can overcome panic attacks, aside from like massage or massaging the vagus nerve, you can look and you can Google beautiful videos how you can massage your vagus nerve, that, for example, you can feel it here when you do the Q-tip. You might feel really good, and because the vagus nerve is here and it helps you. You might do the tapping, which really helps. Any type of body treatments, and how you treat your body and how you take care of it will help. Nutrition is another thing, and minimizing your life. Minimizing your life means that you create a space for your healing. If you are overwhelmed, it's going to add to the panic attacks. it's going to add to panic attacks. And some people really minimize their life as well. They don't think about the balance. They minimize their life, so they don't do anything. They just panic. That's it. What does that mean, minimizing your life? Minimizing your life is removing the things, but at the same time not removing everything. Because some of my clients, they removed everything, they just sit there and they panic. And that really doesn't help. They need to find something to do that they really love. I always say, if you have panic attacks, find something that you love. Because panic attacks happen when we don't do what we love. Because there is nothing to really, no joy to attach to. There's only a fear, that's it. So find something that you loved to do. Maybe go back to your hobby, exercise, whatever makes you feel good, do it. But people, of course, take it to the extent and they start to do hours of it. No, start with 5-10 minutes of doing what you love. Minimizing your life is also minimalism. In the minimalism, you feel so good. I can't even explain the beautiful healing that happens when you minimize your life, because you detach yourself from the material world, not completely, but at the same time, you're not attached to stuff. The more stuff is in your head, the more, or in your house, the more stuff you need to think about. Remember, every piece of clothes you have a little memory shelf about it. And when it's too much, it's too much. You get overwhelmed. And when you get overwhelmed, you reach the tipping point and the trigger happens and you get over into the panic attack. Learning about your mind is another way to overcome panic attacks. Learn about yourself, about your subconscious mind, about your spirit, about your soul, about your higher self, and about yourself and your childhood. Release the traumatic experience, right? Relearn your mind and your body towards what you want. You can do that because the mind only learns by repetition, which means that you can repeat to it and suggest it, whatever you want. And if you're ready, I can help you with that, because I'm a hypnotherapist and I use a beautiful method, RTT hypnotherapy, to help people overcome panic attacks. And you can look at my reviews on Google. Most reviews in the province and probably already in Canada about people really overcoming their anxiety and their panic attacks and feeling at peace and at ease. It doesn't mean that challenges don't happen in their life. They do, but they manage them and they have amazing coping skills because they release the root cause. If you're ready, go for it. You can book your consultation call. It's in the description. Otherwise, I want to tell you that even if you have constant panic attacks, there is nothing wrong with you. Nothing really wrong with you. Your mind is just trying to somehow talk to you and help you. But if you listen, if you really listen and talk to it back, you might have a really beautiful dialogue. I hope that can help. Love you all. Bye.